Your body is hiding something dangerous right now, and you probably don't even know it's there. Deep beneath the surface of your skin, wrapped around vital organs like your liver, pancreas, and intestines, there's a type of fat scientists called the silent killer. This isn't the fat you can pinch or see in the mirror. This is visceral fat, and it's actively working against your health every second. Unlike subcutaneous fat under your skin, visceral fat operates like a rogue factory, pumping out inflammatory chemicals, disrupting your body's hormonal balance. Visceral fat isn't inert. It communicates with your system constantly. It releases signaling molecules, affecting insulin sensitivity, reshaping your metabolic priorities. This explains why fat loss feels frustratingly slow. You exercise and eat well, yet your body holds onto this dangerous fat. Scientists call it metabolically active, influencing energy, inflammation, heart disease, diabetes. Reducing it isn't aesthetic, it's life-saving. One of the simplest ways to target visceral fat is walking. Walking triggers powerful metabolic effects. With each step, circulation improves. Your body learns to access hidden fat. Walking isn't just exercise, it's a metabolic strategy. But here's a critical insight. Walking doesn't immediately incinerate visceral fat. There is a precise moment in your body metabolism when fat begins to be used as fuel. This threshold is where the magic happens, and understanding it changes everything. Most people never reach it because they underestimate the nuances of pacing, rhythm, and heart rate. By learning how to hit this moment consistently, you can turn every daily walk into a targeted fat-burning session without pushing yourself into extreme workouts. At first, your body burns what's easy: glucose in the bloodstream and glycogen stored in muscles. During the initial minutes of walking, fat remains largely untouched. Your metabolism is essentially warming up, assessing energy needs, and preparing the biochemical machinery required for deeper fat oxidation. Mitochondria, the cell's powerhouses, ramp up their activity gradually. Oxygen availability and heart rate stabilize, creating the conditions needed for visceral fat to finally enter the energy supply chain. This transition, though invisible, is measurable by scientists using respiratory markers. Heart rate is your most reliable external cue. Staying within a moderate range, roughly 50 to 70% of maximum, optimizes fat mobilization. Too fast, and your body relies on glucose. Too slow, and fat oxidation is minimal. Walking is ideal because it allows you to reach this sweet spot safely. Unlike high-intensity workouts, it doesn't spike cortisol unnecessarily, which can temporarily block fat burning. In this moderate zone, the body feels safe, oxygen is plentiful, and visceral fat becomes accessible as fuel. Even without a monitor, you can sense it. Your breathing deepens, steps feel rhythmic, and you can carry a conversation comfortably. The internal switch to fat burning is called beta-oxidation. Once you've crossed this invisible line, your mitochondria start pulling fatty acids into energy pathways. Visceral fat, previously resistant, becomes available. This shift doesn't happen at a fixed time. It depends on fitness, diet, and hormonal balance, but the physiological sequence remains the same. The longer you walk steadily, the more your body remains in this fat oxidation mode, gradually depleting visceral fat stores. Over time, this creates sustainable results that are far more profound than quick, high-intensity bursts. Walking also affects the body hormonally. Cortisol, insulin, and other hormones shift in response to steady movement. Cortisol remains low, which favors fat release, while insulin sensitivity improves, preventing excess fat storage around the abdomen. Increased blood flow delivers oxygen efficiently, supporting mitochondrial function and making fatty acids easier to access. This combination is why walking isn't just casual exercise, it's a metabolic tool, quietly training your body to burn stubborn visceral fat without stress or strain. Consistency is the secret. One-off walks don't create lasting adaptations. Regular walking trains mitochondria, fine-tunes enzyme activity, and helps your body recognize walking as a cue for fat mobilization. Over weeks, the internal fat-burning switch activates faster, and each session becomes progressively more efficient. The result isn't just slimmer waistlines, it's better cardiovascular health, reduced inflammation, and improved energy levels. Walking becomes a habit that reshapes both body and mind from the inside out. Even posture matters. Upright, relaxed movement ensures optimal breathing and oxygen delivery, critical for fat oxidation. Shallow breathing or slouching reduces efficiency, delaying the metabolic switch. Pacing matters too. Moderate rhythm maximizes mitochondrial engagement without triggering glucose dependence. When posture, pace, and breathing align, walking evolves from a simple activity into a deliberate, precise tool for health transformation. Every step contributes to your body's readiness to burn visceral fat, creating a ripple effect of internal benefits. As your routine strengthens, subtle internal cues become apparent. Breathing deepens naturally, heart rate stabilizes, body warmth increases slightly, and mental clarity emerges. These signs indicate that your metabolism is entering the optimal fat-burning zone. Visceral fat becomes fuel, supplying steady energy rather than sporadic bursts. Your body adapts to the rhythm, learning to use fat more efficiently. What once seemed like casual walking transforms into a deliberate, scientifically backed approach to targeting the most stubborn and dangerous type of fat. Visceral fat isn't just stored energy, it's active tissue that communicates constantly with your organs. It releases cytokines and inflammatory molecules that influence liver function, cardiovascular health, and even brain signaling. This constant chemical chatter can increase the risk of chronic diseases over time, even if you appear lean on the outside. That's why targeting visceral fat is so important. Walking may seem simple, but it initiates physiological changes that directly counter these harmful signals. Each step improves circulation, gently stimulates metabolism, and encourages your body to prioritize fat for energy, creating an internal environment hostile to visceral accumulation. The beauty of walking is its subtlety. While high-intensity workouts can provoke stress responses, walking maintains a calm metabolic environment. Cortisol remains low, insulin sensitivity improves, and mitochondrial efficiency increases. These internal adjustments are critical for mobilizing visceral fat. Unlike visible subcutaneous fat, visceral fat responds to metabolic conditions rather than exercise volume or intensity alone. The key is creating a rhythm that keeps your body in the moderate heart rate zone, supporting steady oxygen delivery and maintaining hormonal balance. Over time, this allows your body to access stored fat in the most metabolically challenging areas first. Many people make the mistake of equating fat burning with discomfort. They assume sweating, exhaustion, and rapid heartbeat are signs they're effective. In reality, the internal metabolic switch is far subtler. Walking gradually increases energy demand, signals the mitochondria, and allows oxygen consumption to catch up. Once your body reaches this state, visceral fat becomes an accessible fuel source. It's not dramatic, but it's powerful. The steady-state metabolic window, where fat oxidation peaks, occurs without spikes in stress hormones or abrupt strain on the nervous system. This makes walking uniquely effective for long-term, sustainable fat loss. Heart rate is your external guide to internal fat burning. Maintaining a moderate zone, roughly 50 to 70% of your maximum, optimizes visceral fat oxidation. Too fast and glucose dominates, too slow and fat mobilization is minimal. Walking allows you to reach this sweet spot naturally. As you find the right rhythm, breathing deepens comfortably, and steps feel steady. You can sense when your body is ready to shift fuel sources. This rhythm is not just about burning calories, it's about synchronizing your physiology with your activity, creating a metabolic environment where stubborn fat is finally accessible. Consistency transforms these short-term effects into long-term adaptations. Daily walking trains your mitochondria to engage fat more efficiently, increases enzymes responsible for transporting fatty acids, and improves oxygen delivery to muscles and organs. Over weeks, the internal crossover to fat oxidation occurs faster, and your body begins anticipating movement. Hormonal regulation stabilizes, inflammation decreases, and visceral fat becomes less resistant. These adaptations are cumulative, meaning the more consistently you walk, the easier it becomes for your body to access hidden fat stores during every session. Even subtle details enhance this process. Proper posture ensures oxygen can flow freely to your lungs and muscles, supporting efficient mitochondrial activity. Overstriding or shallow breathing disrupts rhythm and slows the metabolic switch. Pacing is equally important. Moderate intensity triggers fat oxidation without pushing the body back into glucose dependency. The combination of posture, pace, and breathing sets the stage for the body's internal mechanisms to engage. making walking a precise tool for visceral fat reduction rather than just casual movement. Internal cues become clearer over time. As your body enters the fat-burning zone, you may notice a natural deepening of breath, stabilized heart rate, and gentle warmth. Mental clarity often accompanies these physiological signs as blood flow and energy utilization optimize. Energy levels feel more consistent, reflecting the slower but steadier stream of ATP generated from fat. Your body is no longer fighting your movements, it participates efficiently, converting stored visceral fat into usable fuel without triggering stress responses or fatigue. This is the point where walking becomes more than exercise, it becomes a metabolic partnership. Walking impacts visceral fat beyond calorie expenditure. By maintaining low cortisol levels, improving insulin sensitivity, and increasing oxygen delivery, it reshapes your body's internal environment. Fat that was once protected by hormonal and biochemical mechanisms becomes accessible. Over time, enzymes responsible for fatty acid transport increase, allowing the body to tap into visceral stores with greater efficiency. This cumulative effect makes walking a unique, low-impact, and scientifically validated method for targeting the most dangerous type of fat, especially for beginners or those returning after long breaks. The psychological impact is just as profound. Regular walking creates a positive feedback loop. Movement improves mood, reduces anxiety, and enhances mental clarity, which reinforces consistency. Consistency strengthens neural pathways that associate walking with regulation and energy balance, making your body more responsive over time. Each session primes your metabolism for the next, so the exact moment your body shifts into visceral fat oxidation occurs sooner and more reliably. Walking evolves from an activity into a habit that reshapes both body and mind. Many people abandon walking prematurely because they don't see immediate changes. They may not understand that fat oxidation, especially of visceral fat, depends on internal metabolic transitions rather than visible effort. Beginners often walk too fast, pushing their heart rate into glucose-dominant zones, or walk inconsistently, preventing the body from entering a rhythm that makes visceral fat accessible. Understanding these nuances, moderate intensity, steady rhythm, proper posture, and consistent practice is critical for achieving results. Walking isn't just exercise. It's a deliberate metabolic strategy. Daily walking improves vascular function, increases capillary density, and enhances oxygen transport. Better circulation means fatty acids reach mitochondria more efficiently, making visceral fat less resistant over time. The combination of physiological adaptation, hormonal regulation, and mitochondrial efficiency creates a compounding effect. Each session reinforces the next, shortening the time needed to reach the fat-burning threshold. The body gradually learns to rely on stored fat for energy, transforming walking from a casual activity into a scientifically supported tool for visceral fat reduction. This process also strengthens the mind-body connection. As you notice subtle internal cues, breathing, heart rate, warmth, focus, you become attuned to your body's rhythms. Recognizing these signs helps you fine-tune walking intensity and duration for maximum effect. The body becomes an active participant in the process, rather than a passive recipient of exercise. You learn to listen, adjust, and optimize, creating a feedback loop that reinforces both consistency and effectiveness in visceral fat reduction. Walking's impact on visceral fat is gradual but measurable. Over time, steady walking increases mitochondrial count, improves enzyme activity, and enhances oxygen utilization. These adaptations make the body more efficient at burning fat, reducing the time it takes to reach the metabolic crossover. Hormonal stability improves, insulin sensitivity strengthens, and cortisol levels remain in a safe range. Each of these changes contributes to turning visceral fat from a stubborn storage depot into a source of energy, reinforcing the importance of consistency and proper pacing in achieving long-term results. The internal metabolic window, the steady-state zone where fat oxidation peaks, is the core of walking's effectiveness. It's not about extreme intensity, but about aligning heart rate, oxygen delivery, and rhythm. Once inside this zone, visceral fat is mobilized efficiently, supporting sustained energy levels and improved health markers. Walking becomes a precise tool for internal transformation rather than just movement for movement's sake. Over weeks and months, these adaptations accumulate, making each session more productive and easier to maintain. As you progress, subtle improvements become noticeable. Breathing stabilizes faster, heart rate rises more gradually, and metabolic crossover occurs sooner. Fat oxidation begins earlier in the session, and energy feels more sustained. The body anticipates movement, creating metabolic harmony where visceral fat becomes a reliable energy source. Neural pathways reinforce consistency, making walking not only physically effective but psychologically rewarding. This combination of internal adaptations and habit formation explains why walking is uniquely effective for visceral fat reduction, especially compared to sporadic, high-intensity workouts. By understanding these internal mechanisms, walking becomes more than a habit. It becomes a strategic, science-backed approach to long-term health. The body learns to shift into fat-burning mode more efficiently. Hormones stabilize, oxygen delivery improves, and mitochondria multiply and function optimally. Every step contributes to a cumulative process that reduces visceral fat, improves cardiovascular function, and enhances mental clarity. Over time, walking transforms from a simple movement into a metabolic partnership that reshapes both body and mind from the inside out. By now, you understand the subtle internal switch that turns walking into a visceral fat-burning activity. But understanding the mechanism is just the first step. To truly maximize fat reduction, you must learn how to optimize your walk strategically. This involves pacing, duration, heart rate management, and posture all working together to extend the fat oxidation window. Each session is an opportunity to train your body to respond faster and more efficiently, transforming a simple walk into a highly effective metabolic session. Precision is what turns casual movement into a powerful fat-burning tool. One of the most overlooked aspects of walking is rhythm. A steady, consistent pace encourages the body to enter the fat oxidation zone more efficiently. Irregular or overly fast steps can push your body back into glucose reliance, limiting visceral fat mobilization. Begin each walk with a gradual warm-up, allowing heart rate and breathing to adjust naturally. As rhythm stabilizes, the body enters the steady-state metabolic window, the period where oxygen supply, energy demand, and mitochondrial function align perfectly. Mastering this rhythm ensures every minute contributes to deeper fat utilization. Duration plays a crucial role. Short walks are beneficial for circulation and mental clarity, but extended sessions allow the metabolic shift into fat oxidation to fully engage. Typically, fat burning intensifies after the initial 10 to 15 minutes of walking, once glucose stores are no longer the primary energy source. The longer you maintain moderate intensity within the fat oxidation zone, the more visceral fat becomes accessible. Over time, the body adapts, initiating this process earlier and sustaining it longer. This is why consistency and patience outperform sporadic high-intensity efforts for long-term visceral fat reduction. Heart rate management is another critical component. Staying in the moderate zone, roughly 50 to 70% of your maximum, maximizes fat mobilization while preventing excessive stress responses. Monitoring your heart rate can be done with devices, but simple cues work too. Breathing should deepen but remain comfortable, and conversation should be possible without gasping. This external feedback aligns perfectly with internal metabolic processes. Over time, the body learns this rhythm, entering fat-burning mode faster, which means each session becomes progressively more efficient in targeting stubborn visceral fat. Walking also improves vascular and metabolic efficiency. As capillaries expand and oxygen delivery improves, fatty acids are transported more effectively to mitochondria. This enhances beta-oxidation, the biochemical process that converts fat into usable energy. The result is a gradual but powerful transformation. Visceral fat that once resisted mobilization becomes increasingly available. This effect is cumulative. With regular practice, the body reaches the fat-burning threshold faster, oxygen utilization improves, and mitochondrial density increases. Walking evolves from a simple daily habit into a metabolic optimization strategy. Posture is more important than most people realize. An upright torso with relaxed shoulders allows optimal diaphragm movements, supporting deep, efficient breathing. Shallow breathing or slouched posture reduces oxygen delivery, slowing fat oxidation and delaying the metabolic crossover. Aligning your posture with proper step mechanics ensures that each movement contributes maximally to visceral fat reduction. Overstriding or uneven pacing can introduce stress, making the body revert to glucose dependence. By focusing on posture and rhythm, walking transforms from a casual activity into a precision tool for internal fat mobilization. The science behind this process is fascinating. As the body settles into a moderate rhythm, insulin sensitivity improves, cortisol levels remain stable, and blood flow increases to key organs. Visceral fat, previously guarded by hormonal and enzymatic barriers, begins to release fatty acids into circulation. Mitochondria, now primed with oxygen and enzymatic support, convert these fatty acids into energy. Over time, this repeated pattern strengthens the body's ability to use visceral fat efficiently, even outside walking sessions. This metabolic carryover is why consistent walking is more effective than intermittent high-intensity exercise. Mental focus amplifies results. Mindful walking, where you consciously maintain posture, rhythm, and breathing, enhances physiological responses. Awareness of internal cues, heart rate, breath depth, body warmth aligns mental and metabolic states, reinforcing consistency. The nervous system responds to this synchronization by reducing sympathetic overdrive, lowering cortisol, and improving hormone regulation. This mental component isn't just psychological. It directly supports visceral fat mobilization. Over weeks, the mind-body connection strengthens, creating a feedback loop that makes each walk more productive than the last. Temperature regulation during walking is another subtle factor. Moderate warmth from increased mitochondrial activity indicates fat oxidation, rather than heat from muscular overexertion. Sweating isn't the goal, efficient energy conversion is. As you maintain a steady pace, your metabolism generates consistent energy from fat, producing subtle warmth and stable heart rate. Over time, the body learns to maintain this internal balance more efficiently. This is why long-term, moderate walking sessions outperform short bursts in terms of visceral fat reduction. The body has time to engage and sustain the metabolic window fully. Consistency over time rewires the body at a cellular level. Mitochondrial density increases, enzymes for fatty acid transport become more abundant, and oxygen utilization improves. Hormonal patterns stabilize, creating a favorable environment for visceral fat to be used as energy. Over weeks, your body anticipates walking, accelerating the transition to fat oxidation. Even short sessions feel easier, and metabolic crossover occurs sooner. Each walk builds upon the last, creating a compounding effect that transforms visceral fat from a stubborn storage depot into a reliable fuel source.